look at their lives, say their names, find out the territories that they walked on this soil, and then go all the way back. Hey, peace and blessings, family. I'm sending this to my family, my first cousins, in our private group. And then I'm also sharing with others who may begin their Sankofa journey. Sankofa is all about looking back in order to be able to move forward. Since I began this journey of understanding my bloodline, my ancestry, and learning about the aspects of genealogy, I wanted to bring to you a story of one of our ancestors. For my first cousins, it would be our great-great-grandfather. Now, at first, I thought that I would be searching more information about my great-grandfather, my father's father's grandfather, and my great-grandfather. So my father, Roy Gaskins, and then he has his father, Leroy Gaskins, and then his father, Nathaniel Gaskins Jr. And my father searched Ancestry back in 2011 and found a document which he says where his grandfather sued the government. And looking at the document and looking at the age that he would have been at 15, realized that it's not him, it's his great-grandfather, Nathaniel Gaskins Sr. So I'm going to put an org chart right here, or a tree, which is Leroy Gaskins married to Bessie Mae Gaskins. And then we go up. Leroy's father is Nathaniel, the Jr., actually, with Mahalia. And then his Nathaniel Gaskins married to Virginia Burke. Awesome information. So I want to introduce you to my great-great-grandfather, Nathaniel Gaskins, born in 1819, son of Peter and Nellie Burke. And they lived in, 1860 Bristol Station, Prince William, Virginia. Occupation, farm laborer. When Nathaniel Gaskins was born in 1819 in Fairfax, Virginia, his father, Peter, was 45 and his mother, Nellie, was 38. He had one son with Virginia Jenny Gaskins in 1861, our great-grandfather. But our great-great-grandfather had one son, which is our great-grandfather, and he had 6 brothers and 7 sisters. And this Nathaniel Gaskins first submitted a claim for property taken by soldiers. The document, or his claim, he filed a claim in, I think it must have been 1871, I'm not sure specifically when he filed his claim. But he was in Virginia when it became a union. And I'm not good on history, y'all, so here's what I found out. Nathaniel Gaskins Sr., born in Fairfax County in 1861, was an African-American farmer who filed a claim for compensation from the U.S. government. He sought reparations for property, including livestock and other goods, taken by Union forces during the Civil War. So I'll insert here, a part of the claim that shows the actual items. It may be blurry, but I know I saw the first line said 12 hogs, and I think there's some bales of hay and some corn and some other things, and I'll show that. Gaskins had to provide, as a resident of Virginia, a Confederate state, Gaskins had to provide evidence that he had been loyal to the Union, a requirement under the Southern Claims Commission established in 1871. This commission allowed loyal Union supporters in the South to seek reimbursement for war-related property losses. But many claims were denied due to the strict standards for proving loyalty. In the American Civil War, the Union refers to the northern states that fought to preserve the United States as a whole, while the Confederates represent the southern states that seceded and fought to maintain slavery, essentially meaning the Union wanted to keep the country together, while the Confederacy wanted to break away and preserve slavery as a key part of the economy. The Union ultimately won the war. So our great grandfather's story is part of a larger context where African Americans, especially formerly enslaved individuals, face considerable challenges in receiving compensation. Claims like his offer insight into the lives of African Americans in Virginia post-Civil War and the struggles they faced in rebuilding economically amidst systemic inequalities. The processing time for claims submitted to the Southern Claims Commission varied, but it generally took several years. For many claimants, the average processing time was between 2 and 5 years. The commission received over 22,000 claims, and the sheer volume meant that processing could be slow, especially since each claim required verification of the claimant's loyalty and documentation of losses. So our great-great-grandfather had property stolen, and when they announced, this commission announced, what's the name? Southern Claims Commission announced that you could put a claim in. Our father, our great-great-grandfather, I don't know if he knew that it would take that many years. I believe he acted on principle and went ahead and filed that claim. And after a claim was approved, the amount awarded was dispersed by the Department of the Treasury. Payment was typically made by check rather than cash. This check was mailed to the claimant's residence or an address provided in their application. Now, since banks were not as widely accessible, claimants sometimes had to travel to a nearby town to cash or deposit their checks. For many rural claimants, this could involve significant travel time. So I want to stop right here because in order to get the context of what our great-great-grandfather was faced with, I began to research and see what it was like in that time. I think the date on it, the claim is 1876. So I pulled up some information or pictures. I'm going to try to pull as many pictures as I can and insert it here. First of all, what kind of transportation? From what I've seen, he was a farmer, so he would have had a horse and buggy. And then the terrain, how he would get from Fairfax to Washington, D.C. And they say here, for many rural claimants, this could involve significant travel time. So can you put your head around the idea that he would have to travel so far? He would have to go in person. He also had to have witnesses on the claim. I can see our great-great-grandfather's writing his story of what happened. I could see where those that he had to have witnesses. He had 3. And again, I'll probably try to pull that document and show 3. I think another name, 3 people. One of the names was Robinson, I think it looked like it. So take a look at that. And you'll see the amount that he said each item was worth. And I'll put in there what they actually approved for him to get. I think he filed for a total of over $800. And he actually was awarded 3 something. I Googled what that amount would be worth today. So think of the weight of the total I'm going to give you now. So I think that I'll show it to you. I'll do the Google and show you how much in 1876. So here we go. In 1876, $327 is worth $9,635. I'll continue with the story. For Nathaniel Gaskins Jr., this process would have involved not only the wait time for his claim to be processed, but also travel to access his payment. Given Fairfax County's proximity to Washington, D.C., he may have been able to access federal payment facilities sooner than those in more remote areas, but it was still a lengthy and complicated process for many. So, as I'm learning more about our ancestors and learning about history in general, and I think of today's time, I think of my own self on November 5th when I left at 6 a.m. in the morning to put my vote in. I thought about my great-great-grandfather. It only took me 20 minutes to drive to the voting place. It only took another 30 minutes to vote. He had to drive, had to ride a horse and carriage. No telling how many hours. If I can research probably and see how many hours it would have taken. If I find it, I'll put it in here. So there was some steps to this process. There was at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps to this process. So I'll share with you what that is. So we have, where's it at? Number 1, filing process. Initially, individuals would submit a detailed description or application, which could be done by mail. The application required them to itemize the property lost and to affirm loyalty to the Union during the Civil War. Applicants provided sworn statements detailing their loyalty and the circumstances of their losses. The processing time for claims submitted to the Southern Claims Commission varied, but it generally took several years, as I mentioned before, from the initial filing to a final decision. Processing between 2 to 5 years. The commission received 22,000. The sheer volume meant that processing could be slow, especially since each claim required verification. After a claim was approved, the amount awarded was dispersed by the Department of Treasury. Payment was typically made by check rather than cash. This check was mailed to the claimant's residence or an address provided in the application, since banks were not as widely known. Let's see, I think I have it in here double. I'm going to take that part out. I hope that this information you find interesting. I intend to learn about ancestors I've never heard of, going up all the way to the 1700s. I will create a story to share with you what all that they might have had to go through or experienced, and then summarize seeing how what we learn can be added to our lives today as far as healing and encouragement. I want to say that this awareness, this key that I've been given from my father, where I saw healing happen as a result of reflecting on history, is that my father in 2011 remembered this story, and it impacted him enough to continue to tell us about it, but we didn't have it housed anywhere except for, now I'm discovering, on Ancestry. But I still need to make sure, like, these videos I'm doing are going to be placed on a blog for my family. But I want to have stuff, at hand as well. We never know when we won't be able to have access to systems, And in our families, some families are close, some families are, doesn't mean they're not close. But our history, y'all, I'm going to be 66, and I'm just learning this past summer. And many may not ever think about our ancestors. We don't want to look at history, but when we don't look, history repeats itself, right? Sometimes we don't want to look back because of the horror around slavery. But here's the deal. Don't forget those that are buried in this land. Find them. Repeat their names. But think about the children. I feel like a missing link has been filled and has given me such determination and clarity and courage at a whole nother level that I never thought I would experience. So today there are close to 100 African American museums. We know that the books are being banned, right? I definitely want to be involved with that. I have a client, she said that she's executive director of a NAACP, I think in South Carolina. And her daughter have been putting feet to the ground with regard to that movement. And I want to be involved in that. And I want to teach eventually some kind of way or be involved with educating or helping to educate our children of their history. Not for the sake of, oh, it's a cute history lesson to know about your ancestors, but beyond that, for us as adults, I think that this definitely, I feel it's given me new fuel. It can give many new fuel. All right? We're missing some fuel. Look at their lives. Say their names. Find out the territories that they walked on this soil. And then go all the way back. So anyway, so look, I found out that the Smithsonian Institute for Smithsonian African American Museum, they have services that are free. You can sit with a genealogist twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think. But if you're not in the Washington area, you can reach out for sending an email to request a session with a genealogist. And when I worked with, when I had my appointment on July 29th, as soon as the lady opened the Zoom, she says, "Hi, how can I help you? Who are we trying to find?" And I was blessed to be able to tell her that I found many through my connection with a 6th generation cousin who I have access to view her 22,000 person tree. And it's many different names. And they tie back to the plantation that I visited in honor of my ancestors on October 26th. So I'm going to put some links below the video showing my visit to Nominee Hall Plantation with my father. What else I want to put below? Just check below. There'll be some links, at least one, to catch you up on, my Sankofa journey. So peace and blessings to you for watching. And I encourage you to get started. Make it a project. If you have time, dive into it. I'm posting my journey on my Facebook, on my YouTube. But I would love to engage with others. I'm focused on where I am sharing information and how much time I'm spending on social media. I thought about creating a group, but I don't know, because I got to manage that, But I like the idea of connecting with others. So, not everybody's excited about this type of thing. I realize that. I share it with my family in the family group, but not everybody in my family is on social media. So I need to find a blog to post these videos to. But for right now, it's on my YouTube and the playlist called My Ancestry Journey on Empress Chakra Wanda YouTube. So that's it. I'll be continuing and sharing as I am led. Peace and blessings.